A solitary pit bull hides in the shadows of his kennel, unaware that the only visitor could forever change his world. When a man approaches, a connection emerges between them. A connection so deep that it transcends time and circumstances. But what happens next will leave you speechless. Stay here to witness the moment that brought the entire shelter to tears. Josh was convinced his actions were right. His home felt empty without Max. And though he yearned for his loyal pit bull every day, he discovered himself drawn to another deserving pit bull in need of a home. No one could compare to Max, but he was desperately trying to rid himself of feelings of sadness and loneliness. Moreover, the idea that many dogs are anxiously waiting for their new families in animal shelters always broke his heart. He cherished hope that a newly adopted canine friend might help him cope with a reality in which he never truly understood Max's fate. Arriving at the animal shelter, Josh walked past all the enclosures, his attention chained to the dogs. Most of them, upon seeing him, promptly ran in his direction, as if wanting to create an indelible impression. The man passionately wished he could invite all the pets to his home. Suddenly, he found himself before a cage that he initially thought was empty, but after examining it carefully, noticed a dog curled up in the corner. The shelter staff clarified that this particular dog found difficulties adapting to a new environment. Josh was surprised how similar the pit bull's coloring appeared to be to Max's color. Suddenly, the dog sensed someone's presence beside him and rose to meet Josh's gaze. As soon as their eyes met, the pit bull began to whimper. When the pit bull extended his paw toward Josh, it became clear that the beaten dog recognized Josh. The man was stunned. Josh always had a soft spot for dogs. He grew up with them throughout his life, and he had a special relationship with Max, his faithful pit bull. Max was the first dog Josh brought into his family, and was always a reliable source of affection and consolation. They shared every minute with each other, and it was a rare occasion to find them separated. However, last year, sad news arrived about Max's sudden disappearance. One moment Max was playing in the yard, and the next moment he vanished. Josh went above and beyond in his search. He distributed flyers and maintained contact with animal shelters and actively used social media. However, Max's location remained a mystery. The situation was worsened by Josh's perception that it was his fault, which led to self-flagellation after this sad event. In Josh's backyard, at the far end, there was an unreliable fence. His intentions to fix the fence remained unfulfilled for several months. But given Max's approximate behavior and lack of desire to run, even in his puppy age, fixing the fence fell into oblivion on Josh's task list. Due to a growing stream of professional responsibilities, which he soon forgot about, he allowed Max to play freely in the yard without paying attention to any problems. The cheerful pit bull would play a bit, and then, as a rule, get some rest in his chosen spot. The thought that Max might escape one day never came to Josh's mind, until one day the dog hit the fence while they were playing, forcing it to give way. Then he stretched his snout and saw the street where they lived, and another pit bull being walked on the other side. The intrigued dog jumped the fence, undertaking what he considered an exciting expedition. Max followed the other pit bull for a while, but after that, while the other dog's owner dismissively waved them away, he went to explore the surroundings. However, he soon became bored. The streets were quiet, no companions were visible nearby, and Max had wandered much further than expected, because of which he couldn't find his way back. As a result, that night the unfortunate dog found himself in an alley, frightened and disoriented, unaware of Josh's desperate attempts to find him. It took Josh a significant amount of time to discover Max's absence. He was accustomed to Max staying out for long periods and suggested the dog was probably napping when they ran out of playtime. However, when he finally decided to call Max back home, his absence immediately sent him into panic. He then spent countless hours wandering the streets and calling for Max, but to no avail. It was obvious that Max had escaped through the fence, and Josh was angry with himself for failing to prevent it. He had no idea what could have encouraged Max to resort to such actions, but he bemoaned his negligence in not fixing the fence. He had lost his most reliable companion. Josh was adamant in his desire to find Max. Flyers with details about Max were posted throughout the area, and they constantly contacted local shelters. Whenever he wasn't busy at work, he made another attempt to find his faithful friend. However, his efforts were not rewarded as Max was still listed as missing. Over time, the flyers became dilapidated and scattered, and shelter staff, who were now familiar with Max, repeated the same response each time he approached them, that no dog matching Max's description had been found. Gradually, he stopped calling, and his search trips were reduced to a minimum. Max's location now remained uncertain. Several months had passed since his disappearance, and Josh had to carry the guilt with him. Max's absence left an enormous gap in his life. Not a day went by that he didn't remember his friend, worry about his safety, comfort, and whether he had enough food. The thought that he would remain forever in ignorance of what happened weighed heavily on him. Sadly, Max had to drag out a difficult existence on the sidewalks, and previously clean and energetic Pitbull was forced to pick up scraps, make his way through dangerous zones, and deal with harsh weather. This contrasted sharply with the joyful life he had led with Josh. Despite the difficulties, the loving dog never lost faith. He explored the city, trying to trace the way home, but invariably found himself in even greater difficulties. Max had a great life with Josh. Josh barely left his side. The two used any opportunity to be together. The unfortunate dog now spent his days alone and anxious. He encountered several other stray dogs who fought for survival, but didn't have the courage to fight with them for food or a dry place to sleep. Because of this, he often felt hungry and dozed in the cold outdoors or in rainy weather. Every night, he trembled with fear from sounds made by other dogs and when there was traffic noise nearby. In the early morning hours, he wandered the city, looking for at least some bit of food, trying to understand if there was anything familiar in case he could return to his dear comrade. One day, after almost an entire year of difficult life, Max was finally detained by animal control and placed in a shelter. He gave up trying to get home and finally found a quiet place that became his territory. However, a friendly elderly person noticed that the unfortunate dog was increasingly around and started leaving him small portions of food, before realizing that the best thing they could do was call the shelter. The unfortunate pit bull was thin, his fur was matted, and the eyes that once shone with happiness now reflected all the hardships he had endured. He was a pale shadow of the dog he was while under Josh's care. Shelter staff took care of him, offering comfort, food, and medical care. He gradually began to restore his strength. Although he was now truly safer and in good supervision than when he was on the street, Max still had a certain melancholy longing for the person he had ended up with. The shelter staff was accustomed to hosting dogs that needed some time to get used to the enclosure after they had wandered free. But everyone noticed how depressed the poor pit bull seemed. A few weeks later, almost all dogs at the rescue center began to trust the caretakers, showing genuine joy at people's presence. They enthusiastically wagged their tails and barked when visited by potential adoptive parents, and their actions reflected their deep yearning for an eternal home. But Max was different. Whenever anyone passed by his cage, he preferred to go unnoticed in the corner, not showing signs of joy or enthusiasm. His strange behavior frightened potential adoptive parents, forcing rescue center workers to fear that a downtrodden pit bull might never find a loving home. They were often intrigued by what could have caused such melancholy in him. The dog's calm behavior with staff suggested he had a previous master, but what could have led to him being abandoned? Soon Max won the hearts of shelter workers. Unlike other noisy and hyperactive dogs, Max seemed to enjoy quiet moments of affection, and everyone gladly gave it to him. As their affection for the pit bull grew, they cherished hope that someone would see his secret nature and appreciate the loving dog he truly was. On the other hand, Max's absence caused Josh much pain throughout the year, and he gradually accepted the fact that he might never see his dog friend again. The memory of his faithful comrade was indelible, but he decided to open his heart to another needy dog. He felt ready to provide a loving home to another dog, intending to honor Max's memory by rescuing another dog from the shelter. On a bright Saturday, with a heart full of expectations and doubts, he went to the local animal rescue center. He wasn't sure if he was doing the right thing. He knew another dog wouldn't replace Max, but he needed companionship. The silence in the house was too harsh, and he missed quiet walks and games in the yard. He made sure the fence was well secured before deciding to start with another dog, to not expose himself and the new dog to the same painful experience. Upon entering the rescue center, he was engulfed by several conflicting emotions. He told staff they're ready to take home any dog, confident he'll recognize the right way when he sees it. They let him walk along the rows of kennels, which gave him the opportunity to meet each dog and helped make the right choice. Josh ended up being more intimidating than expected. The enthusiasm with which each dog reacted to his presence caused him some concern when they thought about their collective desire for a new home. Looking around, he stopped at an enclosure set apart from the others. Quietly in the corner, the dog stood there, not wagging its tail with excitement and not jumping, but threateningly turning its back on all present. To Josh, his behavior strangely reminded him of Max's behavior. When Josh approached the cage, his heartbeat quickened and his breath caught. The dog raised its head, meeting his gaze. Is this possible? Now his name was Spot, and the dog's gaze was fixed on the man standing in front of him. Spot wagged his tail hesitantly, then picked up speed. In his eyes, there was a hint of recognition, and he quietly whimpered hopefully. Josh burst into tears, fell to his knees, and whispered, "Max, is it really you, buddy?" Hearing his old name, Spot whimpered louder, and Josh found it increasingly difficult to swallow. The pit bull rose on trembling legs and walked to the cage bars. At that moment when Josh's hand touched his wool, Max, or Spot, began to whimper, and the sound of pure delight and sadness echoed throughout the shelter. Tears streamed from Josh's eyes. Emotions overwhelmed him. With much familiarity, Max raised his paw and placed it in Josh's hand. "It's you, Max. I can't believe it. You're here," Josh exclaimed joyfully. Understanding what was happening, the shelter staff quickly opened the cage, and Max jumped out of it and fell into Josh's arms. Max enthusiastically licked his snout and aggressively wagged his tail, causing his entire body to shake with joy. Their joyful reunion brought even the shelter staff to tears. Having heard how far Josh went in search of his missing comrade, everyone was deeply moved by the unexpected and gratifying couple's reunion. Max had also been hoping for such a moment, but the staff, unfortunately, hadn't realized this fact. However, the unexpected reunion awakened new feelings in Josh. He was stunned and excited to reunite with Max, but at the same time felt guilty. He had come to a shelter intending to give new life to another dog. And now, holding Max again in his arms, he was moved by the desire to fulfill this obligation. Having learned about the deplorable state Max arrived at the shelter in, Josh became even more determined to give a chance at new life to another dog. Realizing the parallel struggle among many of these dogs, Max touched Josh's heart, causing his eyes to fill with tears. Upon asking shelter staff about any additional pit bulls, he was directed to an impressive male with gentle manners, patiently waiting for his forever home. Upon arriving at the pit bull's foster home, Josh and Max immediately felt a familiar connection. The pit bull effortlessly accepted Josh's affection, and when he was introduced to Max, playfulness emerged between them. After they played, Max joined Josh, looking at him as if it seemed a sign of approval. Josh, without further delay, decided to adopt the other pit bull. The adopted dog was named Bruno. Bruno easily adjusted to the new environment. It didn't take long for Max and Bruno to become inseparable friends, happily spending nights in an embrace with Josh on the couch. The sight of Max and Bruno playing in the yard and showing signs that they gradually forget their life on the streets filled Josh with unprecedented happiness. He was overcome by an overwhelming feeling of satisfaction, knowing he had made a significant impact on their lives. However, he wanted more dogs to have the same possibilities for new beginnings. Thoughts about traveling where Max and Bruno had benefited began to emerge in his head. Returning home, Max got used to his old life, as if he had never abandoned it. But now he had an additional responsibility. He helped Bruno understand how life could be wonderful. Meanwhile, Josh was thinking about how to help other disadvantaged dogs. Each of them looked carefully at Max, and Bruno felt an irresistible desire to change something. In the end, one day, a grand plan emerged in his head. He wasn't sure if this plan would work, but decided to take the risk anyway. Josh started a campaign on social media, sharing his experience and encouraging the adoption of shelter dogs over purchases from private sellers. To his surprise, Josh's campaign quickly gained popularity. Their story quickly attracted attention worldwide. Even other famous animal shelters and local charities began to support and help his campaign. His posts weren't limited to news about Max and Bruno. They featured success stories of dog adoption, the urgent need for canine care, and general campaign news. Concluding, this endeavor turned out to be one of the most pleasant events in his life, all thanks to his two dogs. People were moved by the story of an unbreakable bond between Josh and Max and their emotional reunion. The story of how Bruno became part of the family emphasized the importance of adoption. People often noticed a strong bond between the two dogs. This initiative succeeded in terms of increasing awareness of numerous household animals that need shelter and about the joy they can bring to the lives of those who want to give them the opportunity to start over. It was exactly what Josh had envisioned. Josh and Max became an inseparable couple again. Their connection undoubtedly became even stronger, but now Bruno appeared in the family. It was obvious the loving pit bull was infinitely grateful to his adoptive family. At first, a man wasn't sure if going to an animal shelter was the right decision. However, he would like to believe that fate pushed him down this path, which reunited him with his old friend and brought him a new one. He realized how lucky he was to have Max appear in his life again. His commitment to ensuring both dogs live their happiest life and desire to give other dogs the same opportunity to find their forever home were obvious. Now, when you read their story, what do you think about it? The tale of Josh, Max, and Bruno demonstrates the incredible power of fate and second chances. Their journey represents more than just a heartwarming reunion. It embodies the transformative impact of animal adoption and the profound connections that can form between humans and their canine companions. Their story resonates with a deeper truth about perseverance, hope, and the extraordinary bonds that can weather any storm. Josh's unwavering determination to find Max, even after months of searching, shows how love can bridge any gap of time or distance. Max's resilience through his year of hardship on the streets, never losing his ability to love and trust, proves the remarkable spirit of dogs. And Bruno's seamless integration into their family illustrates how there's always room for more love in our hearts. The ripple effects of their reunion extended far beyond their immediate family. Through Josh's social media campaign, their story touched countless lives and inspired numerous families to consider adoption. The transformation of their personal journey into a movement for animal welfare demonstrates how individual acts of love can catalyze broader social change. Every weekend now, Josh takes both dogs to the local shelter, where they serve as living testimonials to the success of adoption. Max, once the withdrawn and depressed shelter resident, now confidently approaches potential adopters, as if sharing his own story of redemption. Bruno, with his gentle demeanor, shows how shelter dogs can become perfect family companions. Together, they become ambassadors for the countless dogs still waiting for their forever homes. The shelter staff, who witnessed the miraculous reunion, continue to share Josh and Max's story with visitors, using it as a beacon of hope for both the animals in their care and the people searching for their perfect companion. The tale has become a shelter legend, passed down to new volunteers and staff members as an example of why they never give up hope for any animal in their care. Their story challenges the misconceptions about shelter animals, particularly pit bulls, showing that these dogs possess boundless capacity for love, loyalty, and resilience. Through their social media presence, Josh, Max, and Bruno have become influential advocates for pit bull adoption, helping to change public perception of the breed and showcase their gentle, loving nature. The transformation in both dogs' lives serves as a testament to the healing power of love and security. Max, once traumatized by his time on the streets, has fully reclaimed his joyful nature. Bruno, whose past remains unknown, has blossomed into a confident and happy dog. Together, They demonstrate the remarkable capacity for renewal and growth when given a chance at a better life. Josh's initial uncertainty about visiting the shelter that fateful day has evolved into a profound conviction that everything happens for a reason. What began as a search for companionship to fill the void left by Max's disappearance led to not only a miraculous reunion, but also the creation of a new, extended family. His experience has taught him that sometimes life's greatest blessings arise from our deepest sorrows. The friendship between Max and Bruno continues to deepen with each passing day. They've developed their own unique ways of communicating, playing, and supporting each other. Their bond serves as a daily reminder that family isn't limited by blood or species. It's created through love, trust, and shared experiences. Josh's home, once filled with silence and longing, now bustles with the energy of 2H. Happy dogs. The sound of paws on hardwood floors, playful barks, and wagging tails against furniture has replaced the emptiness that once pervaded the space. Every corner holds evidence of their presence, from well-worn toys to carefully arranged beds that somehow always end up pushed together. The trio's morning walks have become a neighborhood highlight, with local children running out to greet the dogs and nearby residents stopping to chat. Their story has inspired several neighbors to adopt from shelters, creating a ripple effect of positive change in their community. The once quiet street has transformed into a haven for rescue dogs, with regular playdates and community events centered around pet adoption awareness. Josh's commitment to animal welfare has grown beyond his initial social media campaign. He now partners with multiple shelters in the region, helping to organize adoption events and fundraisers. His experience has shown him that one small act of opening his heart to shelter animals could lead to a movement that touches countless lives. The daily routine they've established reflects the perfect balance they've found together. Mornings begin with excited greetings and enthusiastic tail wags, followed by walks where both dogs work in perfect tandem, each matching the other's pace. Evenings find them in their favorite spots. Max in his old corner of the couch, Bruno sprawled nearby, and Josh contentedly watching them both, marveling at how complete his life has become. Their story continues to unfold, each day bringing new adventures and deeper bonds. The fence that once failed to contain Max has been replaced with a sturdy new one, though it seems unnecessary now. Neither dog shows any interest in wandering, having found everything they need within the boundaries of their loving home. Their tale stands as a testament to the enduring power of love, the importance of second chances, and the incredible impact that opening one's heart to adoption can have. Through their journey, Josh, Max, and Bruno have become living proof that sometimes the most beautiful stories arise from life's unexpected turns. Their experience continues to inspire others to consider adoption, reminding everyone that within shelter walls, countless potential family members await their chance to create similarly beautiful stories of love, reunion, and redemption. Every night, as Josh watches his two dogs peacefully sleeping, he's reminded of the extraordinary sequence of events that brought them together. What started as a heartbreaking loss transformed into a story of hope, proving that sometimes life's greatest gifts come disguised as its greatest challenges. Their ongoing journey serves as a powerful reminder that every shelter dog deserves a chance at finding their forever home, and every human heart has the capacity to heal and grow through the unconditional love of a rescued pet.